hello to those of you filing in. I see our attendee number is ticking up. This is great. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to allow just a few moments for our attendees to join. We do have quite a few registrants, and we want to allow them time to hop into the session. So just give us a second or two, and then we'll go ahead and hop into our session. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining us. We're allowing just a minute or two for our attendees to file in and get settled, and then we will go ahead and get started. Hello, hello. I see more of you joining us here in the room. If you're here for our International Virtual Information Session, you are in the right place. We're going to allow just a few more seconds for our attendees to file in. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining us today. All right. So we are just a few minutes past the hour. I do want to be mindful of everyone's time, so I'm going to go ahead and kick off our session. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. This is our International Virtual Information Session, partnered here by the Office of Admission, the Office of International Students and Scholars. My name is Nicole Siniscalchi. I am one of the Senior Associate Directors of Admission here at TC, and I'm joined by my colleague, Hyunjin. Did you want to provide an introduction?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Hyunjin Yo. I'm the Assistant Director for the Office of International Students and Scholars. Welcome, everyone.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Hyunjin, for being here. And Hyunjin's going to join us in a couple of minutes and cover a lot of the useful information that relates to the Office of International Students and Scholars. And I'm sort of going to start our session and just talk a little bit about admissions. Just so you kind of know how to navigate today's session, we're going to allow you to communicate with Hyunjin and I through the Q&A feature. If you do see that on your Zoom webinar toolbar, go ahead, give that a test now if you want to let us know where you're connecting from. We have applicants from all over the world, so we would love to see where you're joining us from and maybe what program you're interested in. You will be able to use the Q&A throughout today's session to submit your questions to us, and so Hyunjin and I will keep our eye on the Q&A, but go ahead and give that a test right now if you'd like to. I see a couple of them already coming in now. We have Kuwait, we have Panama, we have China, we have Japan. Oh, this is perfect. Nicaragua. Great. Myanmar. So this is lovely to see, and this is very representative of the types of students we have at TC. Oh, Thailand, Nepal, more of them coming in. Thank you so much. This is great. Awesome. South Korea / Canada. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. Again, please use this Q&A throughout today's session, and we will keep our eye on that. We are likely going to wait to answer questions until later in the session, but we think we'll have enough time to sort of get to the majority of those. And as they come up, please feel free to chat them into that Q&A feature. And then my last sort of logistical item is just that today's session is being recorded. So if you do want to revisit this content at any time, please reach out to us at admission@tc.columbia.edu, and we will be happy to share the session recording for you. All right, so let's go ahead and move along into some background of Teachers College. This is how we like to start our session, just talking about some of the core characteristics at TC. So Teachers College is the oldest and largest graduate school of education in the country. We were founded in 1887 as the first graduate school of education, and that's really where Teachers College name came from. When we were first created, we were exclusively preparing public school teachers in New York City to teach learners from a variety of different backgrounds. And our commitment to education and leadership and policy and health has really only stood the test of time. But we have evolved to so much more than an institution of just teachers. We now have over 100 different programs here at Teachers College spanning a variety of different academic disciplines, which we'll talk a little bit about moving forward. And we are Teachers College is also the graduate school of education for the Columbia University Network. And that's what happened in 1898. That's when we became the Columbia University's Graduate School of Education, but we have maintained our own identity throughout that time, and that's why we sort of maintain that Teachers College name. We do have a lot of awesome things happening here at the college. We have groundbreaking research, some of the most amazing faculty in the world. Social justice is very much threaded into the core of what we have here in curriculum and everything into the fabric of this institution. And then lastly, we are located in New York City. That's one of the things that we think makes us such an awesome place to be. There's so much to do in New York City, and we'll talk a little bit about how New York City really will enrich your experience culturally, professionally, educationally, and socially. Now let's take a look at our community. I mentioned we are the largest and first graduate school of education, but we want to make sure you know what sort of students are going to be joining you here at Teachers College. We do have a large graduate-only population. Over 5,800 students here at TC are strictly graduate. We take in about 1,800 to 1,900 students every fall and summer, and then graduate out about the same number every year. We have all 50 states represented, as well as DC, and then we have a thriving international student population here at the college. We have representation from 70 different nations, and over 25%, so 27% of our students are international, which is really lends itself, like I was saying, to that global citizenship, that global community that we have here, because you are going to be in the room with individuals from all over the world, hearing how they look at their various areas of study. And then as far as students who self-report their ethnicity, domestic students, we do have, as you can see, 14% African American or Black, 18% Asian American, 15% Hispanic or Latino, and 4% multiracial or multi-ethnic. And so over 40% of our students here identify as a person of color. Moving along into some of our further demographics here at the Teachers College, we do have a median age of 31. I would say that the age across the college here does vary significantly. We have students who are maybe right out of their undergraduate studies, all the way up to individuals who have been working in the field for 20 or more years. And so another bit of diversity you'll experience in the classroom is age diversity, is differences of experience and professional diversity. And so you can really hear from individuals who have different backgrounds, and like I was saying earlier, look at the field in a different way. And having been a graduate of Teachers College myself, actually, I've found that being in the classroom with all these individuals from different backgrounds really made me a stronger student, a stronger practitioner, a much more competent citizen of the world. And we really think you'll get that experience here at Teachers College, given the unique nature of our program and the classroom discourse that you're going to have here. In terms of enrollment, we are largely a master's institution. No surprise there. We are about 75% master's and 23% doctoral. Our master's cohorts are a little bit larger. Those can range from 20 all the way up to maybe 100 plus students in your master's cohort for a particular incoming class. And then the doctoral are a little bit smaller. Those can be closer to 2 or even less than 10 students in a doctoral program. The enrollment will vary. Many of our international students are required to attend full-time. Teachers College full-time requirement is 9 or more credits, and most of our classes are 3 credits. But we do have students here at the college on the whole that are sort of weaving in and out of classes part-time and full-time. And some of our programs do have structured enrollment, but if that is the requirement, that's definitely something that they would put on their website, or that would be very clear when you were applying and you were going through advisement, sort of what the suggested classroom experience and enrollment structure is. Most of our classes do happen in the evening hours. They are conducive to students doing coursework in the evening hours, or maybe later in the day, and then doing a student placement or student internship, or even a part-time or full-time position during the day. So we do understand that you are a person, a professional, while you're doing your graduate studies here. And so we do often take that into account when we're thinking about enrollment for our graduate students. Moving along into the snapshot of the 5 countries that sort of top the list in terms of where we got students from in our most recent cycle, you can see on the slide here, that would be China, India, South Korea, Canada, and Taiwan. And then following closely behind these, we have Saudi Arabia, Japan, Chile, and Brazil. So like I was saying earlier, a very rich community of individuals from all over the world, really a place that you're going to have the opportunity to meet with and to work with and collaborate with people who might be looking at, let's say, school psych, if you're interested in that, in a unique way, because they learned about that and they've grown up in different school systems and worked with different psychologists along the way. So really awesome to have representation from different countries. Moving into the programs we have here at TC, I alluded to that we have over 100 programs here at the college. It would be very challenging for us to go through all 100 programs here today. You'd just be hearing me talk about a great deal of academic disciplines. So what we do is generally break our programs down into 3 pillars. Our 3 pillars being education, psychology, and health. This is just a tiny snapshot of some of the programs we have here. We definitely have a commitment to fostering a lot of different development across students and professionals and communities across these 3 different pillars. To speak a little bit about the pillars generally, our education pillar is one of our largest pillars. 1/3 of our students here at the college are finding themselves in teacher preparation programs. And so we do have great partnerships with the New York City area. We have a lot of programs that will lead to certifications for teaching or for leadership. And so if you are interested in stepping into an education field, whether you've already had some experience or you want to evolve further into the space of education, tons of opportunities, different content areas, different age demographics, different student groups that you can really tackle education. Or you could even look at education policy, which we do have a wealth of programs that are in the policy space as well. So depending on how you want to make change in education, we probably have an avenue for you to get into that. As far as psychology, we have a very rich and robust suite of psychology programs. We get a lot of interest in our psychology programs. These will range from some of our more research-oriented programs like developmental psych or psychology and education or counseling and clinical, to some of our more applied-based psychology programs like mental health counseling or social organizational psychology. So a lot of our psychology students are blending research and practical applications. We have on-site clinics where a lot of students can do some real hands-on counseling and mentorship in their psychology program. So much to do and much to benefit from if you are interested in psychology and learning a little bit about how people tick and how you can help empower them in their respective environments and with their social environments that they're currently dealing with. And then lastly, our health programs. We do understand that health and nutrition are integral to understanding because they have such an impact in the experience that you're going to have as a student, but also the community around you, that people just experience in general. And so whether it's from a communication sciences and disorders degrees to a neuroscience, health education, nutrition, we have a lot of ways that you can work on policy relevant research that relates to health and nutrition and community education that can really help empower the people around you, but also yourself and your colleagues. Now, I said these are just a handful of our programs. If you do refer to the link I have right on the slide there, tc.edu/programs, this is where you can look at a much more comprehensive look of all of the programs we have here at the college. Shifting gears to talk just a little bit about Columbia University. As I mentioned, we are the Graduate School of Education for Columbia University. So while you are a student here at Teachers College, you'll have a wealth of resources that are available to you exclusively as a TC student, our own library, our own dedicated financial aid office, really your own separate campus here. We are located across the street from the main campus, and we are located in Morningside Heights, which is a nice little community of all the Columbia University schools really close to each other. And so some of the resources you'll have while you're a student here at Teachers College, but also Columbia University, is access to their athletic facilities. You can take part in their clubs and organizations. You can use their many libraries. We have a library here at TC, but there are also 19 other libraries in the Columbia network. So you'll have the opportunity to take advantage of those. You can go to panels, conferences, workshops, lectures, tons of things to do. And then there's also, in some cases, the opportunity for cross-registration with some of our other Columbia schools. So it's really a unique experience for you being part of a TC community, but then also part of a Columbia University community. And then when you graduate from the institution, you do receive a Columbia University diploma. It's just signed by both presidents. So you get the Teachers College president as well as the Columbia president. And then you actually get 2 graduations. You get to graduate and do convocation with us at TC, and then also a graduation ceremony at Columbia. Moving along into just my last piece before I hop into some of our application requirements, because I'm sure you're curious about those, is our New York City environment. I had mentioned that that's something we're really proud of. It really is an extension of our campus. It is our learning laboratory. And so whether it's educationally, professionally, culturally, or socially, there are tons of opportunities to immerse yourself in New York City. It's a one-of-a-kind city. There is the greatest library system in the world. There's tons of amazing speakers and conferences and lectures and things happening educationally that can really enrich your experience. You could do student teaching, you could do student placements, you could do part-time employment out in the New York City multicultural landscape. So much to do when it comes to employment, educationally, professionally. If you do want to continue to work or work while you are a student here at Teachers College, tons of opportunities that can lead to lifelong careers in New York City in a variety of different spaces: leadership, management, multiculturalism, policy work, education, you name it. New York City has it. And then culturally and socially, we also think it's important that you are closing the book every once in a while, getting out there, feeling inspired by the energy and just the dynamic nature of New York City. You go 3 blocks one way, it's very different than 3 blocks in the other direction. So there's just so much to enjoy here as a student, but also as a person, and just someone who can really tap into the enriching experiences, the endless enriching experiences that New York City has to offer. So it's museums, theaters, restaurants, neighborhoods, communities. Even just walking around New York City, you don't even have to have an agenda, and you'll find that there's so much to do and so much to see. And so we want to encourage you to take advantage of New York City while you're here. Now, shifting gears into our how to apply, our standard application items, we do have some virtual information sessions. We have crafting webinars. We have other virtual sessions that we really unpack these different materials in great depth. So I won't go through all of the different materials, but I did just want to bring your attention to a few of those that are very relevant to our international applicants. The rest of our materials you can definitely learn a lot more about in those sessions, or I'll be giving you your admission liaison contact information at the later part of my chat here. And so we'll make sure that you have the context. If you do have specific questions about the resume or letters of recommendation, you have the right contact to have that conversation. The standard pieces are the online application, your transcripts and evaluations. For those that we'll talk about who it applies to: English language proficiency scores, resume, 2 or more, could be 3 letters of recommendation, your statement of purpose, and your supplemental materials. Supplemental materials could be writing samples, GRE scores, a couple of unique things. And so heading to our website to start your application, click around in there, also checking out that program search page I mentioned earlier is really going to help educate you on some of the different things that your particular program is going to be asking for. Some of these are very standard. So the fee, the application, transcripts, resume, those are going to be consistent across the board for all programs. It's really when you get to those supplemental materials that things do get a little bit nuanced. And that's where you want to make sure that you're double checking what your program specifically requires. The specific requirements that we're going to highlight today are your course-by-course evaluations and your transcripts, as well as English language proficiency. These are very relevant to our international applicants, so I am going to talk a little bit about those in our upcoming slides so that you're very familiar with those. We do have a holistic review process here, so we look at all your application holistically. We do not filter anyone out by scores, by GRE, by GPAs. So it's really important that you know when you're applying to our program, you're hitting on why this is a good fit for you, and you're telling your story, and you're really showing fit with the institution. That is the most important thing to keep in mind when you're applying. But let's go ahead and hop into the course by course. The course by course is something that I think we get many questions here in the admission office about. And so I want to make sure you really understand what the course by course is intended to do and where you can request these. So for those of you who received a degree outside of the United States, even if it was an English speaking country, we do require a course by course evaluation, a full evaluation that includes all of your course summary, your grades, degree conferrals, as well as including final official copies of your transcripts within the evaluation. So this is going to be the most comprehensive evaluation type that you can request. We do accept these from 2 servicers, WES, W-E-S, or ECE only. So you do have to request a course by course from one of these 2 different servicers. Again, if you received a degree outside of the United States, any degree level, we are going to be looking for a course by course. If you received multiple degrees, let's say a master's and a doctoral degree, or a master's and a bachelor's degree from an international institution, it's advised that you submit your documents and you just get 1 course by course, which is going to give a comprehensive rundown of all of your academic studies. It is okay if you are in progress of a degree right now. We're still going to ask for the course by course, but usually it will note that you're in progress, you're on your way to receiving the degree. The course by course is intended to really show us that you're going to have at least the equivalent of a U.S. bachelor's degree. That is required in order to pursue study here at Teachers College. So this is an evaluation for equivalency. And so it's really important that we have course by courses for everyone who studied internationally, because international schools do tend to review on a different grading scale than the U.S. scale. And so we really need this course by course to show us your letter grades translated to our scale, but really more importantly, to show that your degree is equivalent of what is required to pursue graduate study here at Teachers College and at the institution. So definitely one thing I want to highlight about the course by courses is they can take some time. So I would encourage you, if you are going to be applying for 2023, which is the application we have up now, that you go ahead and request this as early as possible. It does take some time for those course by courses, often several weeks, to be processed. WES or ECE will send the results to us electronically. So just make sure when you're submitting this request, you are listing Teachers College as the institution to receive the evaluation. All right, so that's course by course. Now let's hop into the TOEFL/IELTS English language proficiency requirement. So this is initially based on your undergraduate institution's primary language of instruction. If that was not English, then we do require a TOEFL or IELTS exam official score report to be sent to us. And it does have to be a valid score report. So that means you had to have taken the exam in the last 2 years. The minimum score that is required for the TOEFL, and this is the IBT, the internet-based test, is a 100. And the minimum score for IELTS is a 7.0. Now, these can be sent to us, again, electronically. TOEFL does have an ETS score of 2905, so you can have them send that to us. And if you did do My Best TOEFL, we will accept those scores. But unfortunately, your application cannot be forwarded along for review unless you have the required minimum TOEFL or IELTS score, if your undergraduate institution's primary language of instruction was not English. Now, moving along into the waivers, which is our next slide here, we'll talk a little bit about how you could potentially you get a waiver for the English language proficiency. If you received your undergraduate degree from an institution where the primary language of instruction was English, that's often a pretty straightforward waiver. We can process that for you if you are able to get documentation from that institution, which just confirms for us the primary language of instruction. Often registrars can generate that, send it to us pretty easily. Another way you can get a waiver is if you have a conferred graduate degree from a graduate institution where the primary language of instruction was English. So this is actually a new update to the waiver policy for this, as of this cycle and moving forward, is if you do have a conferred graduate degree from an primary English instruction institution, you can also get a waiver. The degree cannot be in progress. The master's degree or a higher level degree has to be conferred, and we do have to see the conferral on your course by course or on your transcripts. But that's another way that you can pursue a possible waiver of your TOEFL or IELTS score. All right, so we can certainly talk a lot more about English language proficiency, the course by course, when we get into our Q&A. So let's just move ahead right into deadlines so I make sure that you know when you have to get these various materials to our office. We do have some standard application deadlines here at the college. You can see December 1 is our doctoral deadline, November 1 just passed for spring, and then we have a January 15th summer fall priority. Deadlines do vary by program, so these are just general deadlines. That tc.edu/programs page is where you can confirm the specific deadline for the program that you are interested in. I think it's really important that you're checking the priority, you're checking the early deadlines, and making sure that you're hitting the proper deadlines. Now, we do have some unique deadlines for international students who are requiring a visa to attend study here, and so we really want to make sure that you have these on your radar. Our deadline for spring, unfortunately, has already passed for 2023. That was an October 15th deadline. For summer, our international student final deadline is February 1, and then for fall, it's June 1. Now, it's important to note, however, that if the program deadline falls before these dates, you have to hit the program deadline, not these. So, for example, you want to apply to a PhD in social organizational psychology. Their program deadline is December 1. For the fall. Now that is well below June 1, which you can see as the international deadline. You have to hit December 1. So when you're looking at those deadlines, consider the program one if it's sooner than the one that's on the slide here. The one that's on the slide here really only applies to our programs that have final deadlines or rolling deadlines. My advice is to always try to hit the priority deadlines. That will really put you in the best place for getting your application in time, but also for scholarship consideration, for admission consideration. And you'll find out sooner if you apply by our early deadlines. You will generally find out in mid to late March. And so that'll give you a lot more time to plan. But always looking at those deadlines, and remember, whichever one is earlier, the program or the international student one, that's the one that you're going to make sure that all your materials are in our office by those dates. These are received by deadlines. Now, specifically those TOEFL or IELTS scores, some of your letters of recommendation, transcripts from your course by course evaluations, those should be in our office by the deadline. If you expect or you anticipate any delay, maybe it's going to come a day or two later beyond the deadline, that is something you probably want to put on the radar of our office, just so we can kind of keep an eye on your application. If it does become a little bit later after the deadline, let's say a week or 2 weeks after, and we don't have those materials, you do risk your application being withdrawn. So it's very important that you're getting your materials in our office by those dates. Now, I am going to turn it over to OIS in just a minute, but before we do that, I do just want to highlight some liaisons for you. We could spend all day talking about financial aid here. We do have unique financial aid sessions that are going to be coming up this fall. We also have dedicated financial aid liaisons for you. So you do want to make sure that if you do have questions about your options financial aid wise and funding opportunities, very important that you're reaching out to the financial aid office to learn a little bit more about some of your options when it comes to funding. So you can see the various liaisons on the slide. All the liaisons in financial aid and admission are broken up by academic department. And so you can also confirm the department you're applying to, what program you're interested in, what department does that fall under. You can confirm that on the program search page as well. So double check your department and then do make a note of who your liaison is here so you can touch base with them. We have a couple different types of aid you can use here as a student. So we encourage you to touch base with their office to learn a little bit more. And then the last thing I'm going to cover is just the admission liaisons. Again, I mentioned these are all broken down by department. So if you want to make a note of who your admission liaison is, this is going to be a really excellent resource for you. Who do I talk to? Can you tell me about my letters of rec? Can you tell me about the resume requirement? Any questions you really have about applying, that is what we're here for. So if you do want to reach out, depending on what program you're interested in, that is what we're here for. And we're super happy to help and very excited to shepherd you through this journey and to make applying to TC something that is seamless and exciting and easy, and you feel really good about the process. Now, I have said a lot, and now I'm going to turn it over to Hyunjin to talk a little bit about OISS and what they can offer here with their services and some of the things you want to have on your radar in their realm. So over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Nicole, for all the information. So now let's switch gears to talk about F1, J1, and the visa processes. So hello again. My name is Hyunjin Yo. I'm the Assistant Director for the Office of International Students and Scholars. So before we start discussing F1, J1, and visa, I'd like to introduce our office first, the Office of International Students and Scholars. So here is our mission statement. So I'll read it quickly. The Office of International Students and Scholars, or OISS, is committed to providing services and programs that support the growth, development, and welfare of international students and scholars on multiple levels. The OISS also acts as the Center for Cultural and Educational Programming that advances intercultural understanding and interaction between U.S. and international students and scholars, and promotes cultural competency across the college. So this is to say, we at OISS aim to provide holistic support for international students and scholars at TC. So we are providing services not only for your immigration status, but also for your cultural adjustment as well. So what does OISS do? We advise international students and scholars on compliance with immigration laws and regulations, so you can pursue your study at TC while maintaining your legal status in the United States. We also advise hiring officers and department managers in regard to the employment-based immigration casework of international students and scholars. For instance, if you find a job on campus, how you should work with different offices at TC or on Columbia campus and things like that. And we offer student programs that enrich the social and cultural experience of international graduate students. We also provide a cross-cultural and practical adjustment resources and advising. For example, in 2 weeks, we will have a lot of events for the International Education Week. We are inviting our students to present their research or present something that they are interested in. For example, we are also doing a cleaning culture in Japan, and another student is talk about the ESL setting in South Korea. So and last week as a Halloween day, we hosted an event in collaboration with the register services, and we provided little pumpkins for coloring. So we are doing a lot of social and cultural events for our international community at TC. And lastly, we develop and conduct collaborative programs with other campus units with regard to intercultural competency. And how does our office, OISS, support international students? We are supporting international students on multiple levels. First and foremost, we issue an I-20 or DS-2019. This is probably one of the most important documents for our international students. You need to receive these documents from our office to apply for your F1 or J1 visa and to enter the United States and to maintain your status while you're studying at TC. And we host orientation for F1 and J1 students at the beginning of each semester. And we provide cultural and social engagement workshops and employment workshops for F1 and J1 students throughout the semester. And we offer virtual advising hours and appointments for international students. So the virtual advising hours are something that we host 3 times a week for an hour. You join our Zoom room, and then you will get a chance to talk to one of our international student advisors one-on-one. You can take advantage of our virtual advising hours even if you're not a TC student yet. And OISS outreaches to TC faculty and staff to better support international students. And later I will show you where you can find the virtual advising hours information on our website. And here is a journey to Teachers College as an international student. So the first step is to apply and get an admission to Teachers College. So once you are admitted to Teachers College, then you will pay tuition deposit, which tells us that, okay, I'm committed to come to TC. And then once you pay your tuition deposit, then you can apply and obtain a Form I-20 or DS-2019 from our office. Once you receive a Form I-20 or DS-2019 from our office, then you can go ahead and schedule a visa interview with the U.S. consulate or embassy in your home country to get your F1 or J1 visa. And once you obtain an F1 or J1 visa, you're ready to enter the United States. So you should bring all the necessary immigration documents such as I-20, your passport, J1 or F1 visa with you to enter the United States. And once you enter the United States, you travel to TC, and the very last but very important step is to check in with our office via TC Compass. The check-in process is mandatory, and this is to make sure that we can verify your immigration documents to make sure everything is correct, and so that we can register you in CVIS, which means that you're only after we register you in CVIS, your F1 or J1 status will be activated. So once you're admitted to TC, we will offer many more webinars discussing how to apply for I-20 or DS-19, and also how to apply for visa and what kind of documents you need to bring in more detail so you can be prepared. And we also have all this information on our website, how to apply for I-20 and DS-2019, which you can look up. And next, let's talk about two categories of international students, F1 and J1. Let's start from F1 first. So what is F1 student status? F1 status is the most common type of status used to study in the United States. So most of our students, international students in TC, are on F1 visa. So F1 status is for full-time academic and language students pursuing a degree or certificate. So to fulfill or to pursue this goal, all F1 students must enroll full-time every fall and spring semester at Teachers College. And at TC, full-time is at 9 credits or more. So you will be required to take at least 9 credits or more every fall and spring semester to maintain your F1 status. And if you decide on F1 status, you will need to apply for a Form I-20 and F1 visa to enter the United States. And some of you may plan to bring your spouse and or child or children under the age of 21 with you. And if so, please note that your dependents will need to obtain F2 dependent I-20s from TC, as well as F2 visa from the US consulate or embassy. And F2 spouses may not work in the United States and may not enroll in school full-time, but they can enroll in part-time as an F2 dependent. If your F2 dependent wants to, or F2 spouse would like to pursue a full-time degree in the United States, then they would need to switch their status from F2 to F1. Right, now let's talk about J1 status. And what is, so we just talked about F1 and what are some of the similarities and differences between F1 and J1. So to be eligible for J1 status, at least half of your funding must come from a source other than personal or family funds. So for example, you're fully sponsored by IIE or LASPA as a Fulbright scholar or Fulbright student, then you will be eligible for J1 student. Or if you're receiving a full government scholarship from your home government, then you will be eligible for J1 student status. And if you decide on J1 status, you will need to apply for a Form DS-2019 and J1 visa to enter the United States. And J1 students and their J2 dependents might be subject to the 2-year home residency requirements, depending on their funding sources, program, and the country of origin. So usually this 2-year home residency requirement is written on your DS-2019 or your J1 or J2 visa. And just like F1 students, J1 students also have to enroll full-time every fall and spring semester. Again, full-time is 9 credits or more at Teachers College. And if you plan to bring your spouse and your children with you, you should consider the following. So dependents need to obtain J2 dependent DS-2019s and J2 visa, just like F1 students. But here's the difference. J2 spouses may apply for work permission from USCIS, which is a government agency, and may study in the United States. And please note that J2 work authorization should not be for the funding of the J1's education. And J1 exchange visitors and or students and J2 dependents must carry full health insurance for the duration of their J1 program in the US, which meets the US Department of State's requirements. Our J1 students will be enrolled in Columbia Health Insurance, and that will meet the that will meet the U.S. Department of State's requirements. So most of our J1 students will have no issues, but your J2 dependents, if you decide to bring them, they will also need to carry full health insurance that meets the U.S. Department of State's requirements. And we talked about F1 and J1 status. Now let's briefly talk about what you need to do to be a F1 or J1 student. So today I will briefly mention some of the documents and processes. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, we will provide more information and webinar once you're admitted to TC. So first, to enter the United States as an F1 or J1 student, the first thing that you have to do is to apply for a Form I-20 if you are a F1 student and a DS-219 if you are a J1 student. And in order to successfully apply for a Form I-20 or DS-219, you will initiate this request via TC Compass on our website, which is our online platform where you can submit all the requests pertaining to F1 and J1 status. So to apply for I-20 or DS-219, you need to submit the following documents. First, you need to submit an acceptance letter to Teachers College that shows your program and admission term. And secondly, you also need to submit a copy of your passport identification page and financial documents. And if you are currently have an active CVS record and wish to transfer your CVS record to TC, then you also need to submit a transfer in request form. If you're currently outside of the United States and do not have any active CVS record, then you don't need to worry about this form at all. You just need to submit the first three forms: acceptance letter, copy of your passport identification page, and financial documents demonstrating that you have enough funds in your bank accounts or that covers the cost of attendance at Teachers College. For fall 2022, the cost of attendance was about $80,000, and it will likely increase for fall 2023. And once we have the updated number, we will update our website, and you will be able to check it there. And please note that if your current non-immigrant status allows you to pursue study at TC, for example, if you are currently in the United States as an H4 visa, then you may not need to apply for a Form I-20 or DS-219. It can apply to any other status as long as your current status allows you to pursue study at TC. You may not need to apply for a Form I-20 or DS-2019. And more information on the required documents can be found on our Visa Basics page or on the application. And I am going to put the link in the chat. One moment, everyone. There you go. So you can go to the link that I just put in the chat to find out more information about the visa process. And the deadline to submit your I-20 or DS-2019 application for fall 2023 admitted students is July 15th, 2023. This is to make sure that you have enough time to apply for your visa before you come to the United States. And okay, now let's talk about the cost of studying at Teachers College. You will need to pay for your tuition and fees, personal expenses, which includes books, transportation, living expenses, etc. And you also need to pay the Columbia health fees and insurance. And then in addition to the above, international students are required to pay the CVS I-901 fee. And for all F1, J1 students must pay the CVS fee to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. This doesn't come to our office nor TC, it goes to the US government. And currently, the CVS fee for F1 student is $350, and for J1 students, it is $220. And there will be a visa application fee of $160 or more. And then there will be some post-graduation costs, such as an employment-based application with USCIS, such as optional practical training, which will allow you to work after you complete your program in the United States. Or if you decide to submit an application for a change of status to USCIS, then there will be additional cost associated with it. And lastly, let's briefly talk about working in the United States, because I know you may also wonder when and what types of employment opportunities you can engage as an F1 and J1 student. So both F1 and J1 students may engage in on-campus employment from their first semester at TC for up to 20 hours per week during fall and spring semesters. During summer, you may work full-time. Full-time here means anything above 20 hours per week. And for off-campus employment, you will need to obtain prior work authorization before engaging in employment, which will allow you to work part-time during fall and spring semesters and full-time during summer break. And as you can see on the slide, there are different types of off-campus employment authorization that are available for F1 and J1 students. And we are offering employment workshops throughout the semester, so you can enjoy employment benefits as an F1 and J1 student. So once you're admitted to TC, and if you're interested in pursuing on-campus or off-campus employment, you will have plenty of chance to learn more about it. And here is our contact information. Our website is tc.columbia.edu/international. You will be able to find a lot of information that I discussed today and more in depth. So please visit our website to find out more information about F1 and J1 status and how to maintain your study. And our phone number, 212-678-3939. And our email is tcintl@tc.columbia.edu. And here, virtualizing hours. So I'm going to put a link in the chat where you can find the link to join our virtual advising hours. And you can also make an appointment with one of the advisors, which will be 15-minute long one-on-one conversation. And also, please consider following us on social media in Instagram, Facebook. Our handle is TCCUOISS. Right, that's all for me today.
Awesome. Thank you, Hyunjin. That was really excellent and useful information for our applicants, our prospective students today. So now Hyunjin and I will spend a couple minutes looking at some of the questions that you have submitted. If anything came up, please go ahead and use that Q&A feature. Like I said, that's where we're going to be looking for submissions. And I do see that there are a couple already in there. So let me just take a look. We do have quite a few admission ones, and so I'll try to tackle a couple of those. I do see a question about, can you apply to more than one master's program? You can only apply to one program at a time per cycle, so only one program for 2023 entry consideration. So I know we have a lot to choose from, but you do have to choose just one. I see a question about, when do I submit the course-by-course evaluation? Do I submit the transcript first? You do not need to submit an additional copy of your transcripts beyond the course-by-course. All we need is your course-by-course, because it does include copies of your transcripts within it. So we just need that course-by-course. We do need that in order for you to be considered for application review, which is why it's important that y'all are starting that process, getting that requested, and having that sent to us as soon as you can. So all of it in just one packet. I do see some questions about if you're in progress of a degree, how do you submit your transcript that way? You can submit in progress coursework. Like I said, you can submit an in progress course by course evaluation, send Wes or ECE the documentation you have as of today. They will process the course by course, and they can forecast for us if you are going to be on track to receive the equivalent of a US bachelor's or master's or whatever it may be. So it's okay if you're in progress with your international degrees. We just would want an in-progress course by course, and then we'll reach out if we're going to need any additional information from you after you finish that degree. Sometimes it'll be a second course by course with updated information, but it'll really depend on what your course by course results show. But it's helpful to do that as soon as possible, like I was saying, so we can make sure you have the required equivalencies and everything is available and it's the right type of evaluation and everything. West does have a degree equivalency tool that is free on their website. So I often encourage applicants to go ahead and put in their academic information in there, just preemptively, and that can also sort of help give you an insight into what your results might be, and that you just have what is required to study. I see a question about cross-registration. There are some limitations. It's really going to depend a lot on your program, and so in order to take classes across the street or at any of our Columbia schools, you will just need to have that conversation with your advisor, and they can talk through that process with you. Oh yeah, Hunjin, I see you have one question there. Did you want to answer it just aloud for everybody? And I'll let you read it out if you want.
The dependent question?
Yes, yep.
Yes, the question is, can dependent child study on F2? The answer is yes. The dependent child may study in the United States. And I'm actually going to put the link in the chat where you can find more information about students with children.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. I do see some questions about scholarship. I see a couple questions about funding and scholarship. Now, in your admission application is a scholarship application, and that is the only application that you need to do to be eligible for scholarship for the duration of your program. That is another benefit of applying by the priority deadline, is you could be considered for some of our scholarships that are only for students who apply early. We unfortunately cannot guarantee scholarship for everyone at the college, but it really is beneficial to apply early to put yourself in the best place for consideration. Do that scholarship application. And then we also encourage applicants to look into external opportunities outside of TC. Even if you do receive a scholarship, there is a good chance that it will only be partial funding. We do not generally offer full funding for our master's students, and some of our doctoral students do receive more sizable funding, but even at the doctoral level, full funding is not guaranteed. So it's really important that you're thinking about applying in a timely fashion to our institution, looking at any opportunities that might come up on our financial aid website, but then also applying to some external organizations that might also help with your funding. So do that scholarship application and you will automatically be considered for program-based funding. But again, it's important that you are thinking about maybe some other ways that you might want to finance your degree. In addition to scholarships, students will occasionally use student employment that they might be eligible for. And Hyunjin talked a little bit about employment. That's a way that some of our students might finance to the degree. And then we also do have private student loans. So U.S. citizens and permanent residents are eligible for federal student loans. And then if you don't meet that citizenship criteria, then you would pursue private loans. And a lot of our private loans, you do need a U.S. cosigner, but those are great questions. You know, how do I navigate the loan experience, or what are some common ways that students have funded in addition to scholarships and external funding sources for your financial aid liaison. So please feel free to set up a conversation with them to talk a little bit more. And then even OISS can probably give you some advice on how students have historically navigated the experience when they're current students or just as international students. So that is the funding in a nutshell. I do see a question. Oh, and Hyunjin, did you want to mention anything else about funding, or did I cover it? Okay, cool. A question about the fee to apply. It is a $65 application fee. And so that be required in order to submit. After you submit your application, you will be asked to submit that payment electronically. All right. So I see a question. And again, some questions are coming in that are a little bit tailored specifically to your program of interest. Since we can't go into depth on all of the specific programs today, again, great reason to set up a time to chat with your liaison so that they can talk about some of the nuances with the programs that they work specifically. Just having so many programs, unfortunately, we do kind of use the liaison model pretty strongly to sort of help get you the experience and the detailed information that you're looking for. In terms of just evaluating candidates and strength of application, I see a couple of questions about that. Fit is very important at the grad level. I sort of alluded to that before. I think we want to see what you can bring to the table professionally, personally, academically. So it's really all about highlighting what you've done for the last few years and where you hope to go with this degree. Use your resume to highlight transferable skills, background experiences, things that might relate to that area of study, and then use your statement of purpose to lay down that foundation. Tell us what it is about TCU specifically that you're excited about, but then also be very forward thinking and goal oriented in your statement of purpose. Programs want to see what you want to do with the degree. We want to make sure that we can help get you to that next step and why this is the right time for you based on what you've done so far, but also where you want to go. So try to hit on those different pieces in your statement. The statement of purpose is definitely one of the most important pieces of your application in terms of articulating to us why we're a good fit, that you've done research on the program, check out those program websites, and then we can also see that we can get you to the goals that you're looking for. Again, if you do have questions about the specific requirements, our virtual information sessions that are more general for all applicants, another great opportunity to go into detail, but definitely our crafting webinars. We have a crafting an ideal application for international applicants specifically, and that's a really great resource for you. We did actually just have one yesterday. So if you missed that, you just want to shoot us an email and let us know that you'd like the recording from yesterday's International Crafting an Ideal Application webinar, we can get that recording for you. If you'd like to attend it in real time, we have one coming up in December that you can also sign up for. Is it okay if the course by course comes in later? Like I said, if it comes in a day or two, we could probably squeeze it in. But if it's becoming a week or 2 weeks, that's something you do want to put on your liaison's radar, because these are received by deadlines. So in theory, your application could be withdrawn if we do not receive everything by the deadline. So if you foresee long gaps beyond the deadline or long time frames, you do risk the chance of being withdrawn. Unfortunately, we can't guarantee review if you do not hit the deadlines. How long does WES or ECE take? That varies a lot of the times. I would say on average, it's 2 to 6 weeks. So it really kind of depends on the institution that you're getting the transcripts from. But I would say a couple weeks is usually how long it takes. What are some of the online programs? I would definitely go to tc.edu/programs. You can see a list of all the programs we offer. We have a variety of them here at the college. I do just see a question came in about the recording. Do just shoot us an email specifically at admission, and we can send that to you so that anyone who is looking for that can get a copy of yesterday's session. Let's see, do we provide application fee waivers? We do provide application fee waivers for those of you who have participated in service organizations. So that could be Peace Corps, Fulbright, Teach for China, Teach for America, things like that. And you will see a spot in the application where you'll be able to indicate your affiliation participation, and then that will generate an application fee waiver. Are scholarships merit-based? Yes, our scholarships are generally merit-based as opposed to need-based. We do have a need-blind admission process. Question of where they can find the scholarship application. Again, you can find that in your admission application. It's called, I think, institutional funding sources, something like that. You'll see it in your admission application as a supplemental section. And then we have a question about housing. We do have housing available here at the college, a variety of different options. And so the Office of Residential Services can really help you with the process of looking into housing. We understand that you'll very likely be relocating, and that can be sort of an overwhelming process. So we do have resources to help you through that process. We do have on-campus housing, family units, single units, a couple different options here right across the street from the main campus. We are located in New York City, right at about 120th and Broadway in Amsterdam. So we have a little grid here. So it's definitely the campus here, and then we have housing either behind us or just right next to us. It's very conveniently located. Or if you need to live in the greater New York City area, we do have resources to help you with off-campus in addition to on-campus housing. Okay, so I think we might have gotten to all our questions. Hyunjin, did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. Is there anything you wanted to share with our attendees, some parting wisdom, any bit of knowledge before we end today's session?
I mean, I think you covered most of it, and I think my parting wisdom will be, well, for my experience applying for grad student, applying for a grad school I was an international student as well. I applied directly to a master's degree in the United States from South Korea. So I know that it's very overwhelming and the process is very different, and all this different like TOEFL, GRE, and course by course evaluation. It can be very overwhelming, but I mean, for me, it was worth it. Once I got to the United States, all this great experience that I had throughout my graduate school, and after that, it was great. So I know it will be overwhelming, but if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us, like our office, and then Nicole's admission office, and then your liaison for help. They will be more than happy to provide all these answers and respond to your questions.
Definitely. Thank you. And I want to echo those sentiments. We are here to support you through this journey. This session today is just the beginning of, we hope, a lifelong journey with us at TC. So do not hesitate to reach out to Hyunjin and OISS and myself in the Office of Admission to answer any lingering questions you have, but just also to really help you with this process. So good luck to all. Again, please reach out to us. Just shoot us an email at admission if you want to connect with a liaison, or if you would like a copy of today's recording. We have a lot of resources for you, and definitely check out our website to see if there's other sessions that might be helpful for you in the coming weeks. So stay well, everyone. Good luck with the process, and we'll hope to talk to you soon. Thanks so much. And thank you, Hyunjin, for your insight. Thanks, everyone.